Guys, it's Julia, and for today's video I'm going to be doing my November wrap-up, and this is where I talk about all the books I've read in the month of November, my thoughts on them, a synopsis, etc, etc. So if you've noticed, I'm in a little different spot. It's just temporary. Probably the next couple videos will be like this though, but yeah. So let's get into the wrap-up. I read a total of 11 books, and not the best month, but I think I read 11 whole novels. It's okay, not the best, not the worst, but a couple of them were over 500, which they usually take me a pretty long time. I'm filming my wrap up really early on the 23rd, so because if you've been here, you know I start my months early and end them early, but I read the same amount of days. Sorry for blabbering. Let's get into the wrap up. First book I read was Fortunately the Milk by Neil Gaiman, and this is about a father who goes to buy milk for his kids, and it's about his adventures getting the milk back to the house. And it's a very short book, and it is also illustrated, and it's really cool. Anyways, I enjoyed it. I thought it was odd and intriguing. I was trying to say intriguing and interesting at the same time, but yeah, not the best. It didn't blow me away, but I gave it a 3 out of 5, so it was good. Next, I read The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. This is, if you're gonna read this, I'd recommend going to it just knowing it's about a circus at night, but if you do want to know a bit about it, it's about two people, a girl and a boy, and it's about them growing up, and they are being taught by magicians and how to work with magic, how to use magic, and all this other stuff. They're learning how to become magicians, and in the future they will have to compete. And at the time they don't know who their partner is growing up, they don't know, and it's all about that. I hope that was a good synopsis. I'm not sure how to describe it, but I adored this. The writing was absolutely beautiful. One of the best writing styles I've read in a long time. The writing and the characters were so good. I really loved Celia was the girl's name. I read this a little while ago, bear with me. Yeah, Celia, I really loved her character. Marco I didn't love as much, but the characters were really awesome, and the atmosphere was the best thing about this book. Like the atmosphere of the circus, and well, the writing was probably the best, but the atmosphere of the circus and everything around that was so awesome. I absolutely loved it. I really recommend it. It is a bigger book. It's not that big. I mean, isn't it like 500 pages or something? It took me a while to get through though, but I really enjoyed it. It is a slow moving book, but it's really good, and I really recommend it. Basically, I only have like 2 negative things to say about it, and that's Marco wasn't my favorite, but I still liked him. And the other thing is just the romance. It kind of just like snuck up on me a little bit. Like it was boom, love. I'm like, it wasn't like insta love, but it was like, I just wasn't all about the romance. Like I feel like it just popped out, and I was like, oh, you know. But I gave this a 4.25. Probably would give it a 4.5, but I highly recommend it. So yeah. Book I read was Coraline by Neil Gaiman. This is, yes, another middle grade Neil Gaiman book, and this is about a little girl named Coraline, and basically she goes into like her house's art room, and she finds kind of like a door, and when she goes through this door, it's like her house, her world, but it's all messed up, and it's her house, but her parents have button eyes, and they're like, stay with us. I don't know how to explain it, but she goes through this door to another world that looks the same as ours, but it's a bit different. So I did really enjoy it. It was actually pretty creepy, and I really liked Coraline's character. She was like really brave for how old she was, and there were some really good quotes about bravery, and the button-eyed parents were so twisted. This one is also illustrated, but not as much. Here were those lovely button-eyed parents. Here's the mom, because you know the mom's great. Runs. Anyways, so I enjoyed this. I gave it a 3.5. Yeah, I've been noticing that every month I tend to marathon some kind of trilogy. Don't quote me, that may not continue, but this month I marathon the Slammed trilogy by Colleen Hoover. So let's talk about the first book. Slammed is basically about a girl named Lake and a boy named Will. Whoa, did I just get the names right? Whoa. Lake and Will. Yeah, I got the names right. Anyways, so it's about them and their romance, and there's obviously complications, and it kind of involves this nice little aspect of slam poetry. This is Colleen Hoover's debut. I've read a lot of Colleen Hoover's books, and this wasn't my favorite ever, and it was definitely the least complicated. I mean, it was still complicated, but not as much as her other one. It wasn't as twisted as her other books, but it was still good. It was really enjoyable. This one was hilarious, like hilarious. I can't believe, and I love her books for her characters, and these two characters I really liked. They were a little on the immature side, but I liked them, and I like the slam poetry. I do recommend this. I can't think of anything off the top of my head negative to say about it, but I give it about a 3.75 to a 4 out of 5 stars. So yeah. For the second book, Point of Retreat, this is basically just obviously the sequel, the conclusion, I mean not the conclusion, the sequel and the continuation from the first book. And I didn't actually, it's kind of hard for me to say if I enjoyed it more than Slammed. The characters are much more immature in this book in particular. I really enjoyed this book either way though. The kids were so cute, like all the Lake's brothers meeting other people, like Lake and Will's brother like meeting other people. Like, it was so cool and it was so cute and it was still funny and it was a good time. It was a good time, so I gave it a 4 out of 5. I read was This Girl by Colleen Hoover. Like I said, I marathoned the trilogy. So for this one, this is, a lot of people say that this is the first book told in Will's perspective. That is not exactly true. I'm really not the person to pick up books that are the same book but in the other person's perspective. They could add more to the story and they could just be there for money. I'll just not sugarcoat it, money. But this was actually really nice, and it's Will telling, yes, his opinion on the story, his side of the story, but it's kind of a continuation of Point of Retreat. So if you just read Slammed, don't pick this up yet. That's why it's the third book, but I really enjoyed this actually. Like, I feel like it added so much more to the story, so much more to the characters, and it was just so fun to read, and we got the main conclusion for the characters. So yeah, but I ended up giving this a 4 to 5 as well. So good trilogy overall. I enjoyed it. It was really fun. Don't take these books too seriously. They're just a lot of fun, and the characters are really awesome, and the story is good. So yeah. The book I picked up was The Girl in 6E by A.R. Torr. This is an erotic thriller, an adult erotic thriller. So if you're not into that, don't read this. Anyways, but this book is about, basically, on the back, it says, it's the easiest way to describe it. It says, my life is simple as long as I follow the rules. Don't leave the apartment, never let anyone in, and don't kill anyone. I've obeyed these rules for 3 years, but rules were meant to be broken. So this book is about a girl, obviously, living in her apartment. She doesn't go out for reasons. It's a thriller. I read the back. It's enough information about it as you're gonna get, unless you want to check out the Goodreads page or whatever. But what I thought of this, I enjoyed it. It was a really fast read. I read it in a day. It was intriguing. I enjoyed the story. I had my problems. I don't know how to pinpoint them exactly, but it wasn't my favorite book ever. And I wasn't aware of how inappropriate this was gonna be. I wasn't really expecting it to be. I didn't know it was kind of like erotica, but be aware of that before picking it up if you're not into that, because I am not that much into, I'm not into it, but if it's a good book and it has that in it, I don't really care. So I gave this a 3.5. I enjoyed some things I was really about, but a 3.5. I am going to be picking up the next book hopefully soon if I get my hands on it, but yeah, I think it is worth the read though if you're into adult thrillers. This one's a good one. I think the next book can be much better as well, so yes. Next book I read was November 9 by Colleen Hoover. This book I did do a review for, so you can click on the book right now or on the little thumbnail I'll put here if you want to watch that, but I will talk about the synopsis a little bit right now. So this book is about two people. What are the names? Fallon and Ben. And basically, they choose to meet once a year on November 9 for reasons. They choose to meet once a year for reasons, plus Fallon is moving, and it's about them, their romance, and the complications, and Ben is a novelist, and it's all about if he's doing something he's not supposed to, kind of thing. And it was okay. It wasn't my favorite by her. definitely not my favorite. This wasn't as complicated, and I didn't like the romance. The characters the characters I wasn't that big of a fan of. I didn't really enjoy Fallon or Ben. Like, I mean, I liked Ben, kind of. I liked them both, like, a little bit. I liked Ben probably more, and it was just, I just couldn't connect with the characters and the story, and I felt like it was just not my kind of book, this one. The tone was different, and it had all this, like, inappropriate humor, and I was just like, this is not Colleen Hoover. This is not the usual Colleen Hoover. I was waiting for a twist. It happened 3/4 of the way through. Happened probably a little late, I would say, but I still enjoyed it. There were perks to it, and you can hear those in my review, so don't think this book is I hated. I gave it a 3.5. Check out my review if you want to know more. But yeah, next book I read was Your Voice Is All I Hear by Leah Sashir. This book was actually a new release of September, October, something like that. No, I think it came out on September 1st, but I finally got around to reading it. This does have trigger warnings for some mental health things, mental illnesses. Basically, I can't say which one because it is a spoiler. Really obvious what it is when you're reading it. If you know the symptoms of many mental illnesses, you'll be able to figure it out. It is a spoiler with the mental illnesses, but just know if you're triggered to reading any type of books that involve mental health, maybe don't pick this one up. But I enjoyed this. I thought it was great. It was really, really emotional, and I didn't really say what it was about, but it's about a girl and a guy, and they meet, and it's all about them, and it's beautiful because you see something different that I don't usually see, and that is the girl supporting the guy. Usually you see the guy helping the girl, or the girl and the guy helping each other. It was more the girl helping the guy, which was really new for me to read. I don't think I've read a book like that. Usually they're either helping each other or the guy's helping the girl. But I really enjoyed that, and it was so emotional. Like, I almost cried. The book hasn't made me cry yet. Almost. So close. But it was so emotional. Like, at times it was so hard to read. Like, I couldn't deal with it. It was so hard to read at times. And it's not sugar-coated, the disorder, so it will hit you right in the gut what these people go through and what the people around them go through. So I'd highly recommend this if you like reading books about mental health. It was good. It wasn't my favorite thing ever. It didn't blow me away, but definitely aspects of it did blow me away, but wasn't my favorite thing ever. And I gave it around a 3.5. But now thinking about it, why did I give it a 3.5? 3.75, 4-star, just between a 3.5 and a 4, I would say. It's good. If you're into those books, pick it up, but it is on the underwhelming side, but at the same time, it's like really emotional, and it's really about the disorder, but the characters you may not be glued to. It's really about the disorder and everything. I did give it a 3.5, but it is an important book, and if you want to know more about this mental health topic, mental disorder, please pick this up. I can't tell you what it is, but yes. I picked up a book that took me about a week to read, and that was Dr. Sleep by Stephen King. I've been dying to read this for so long, is what I'm trying to say. I finally read it. This is the sequel to The Shining, and it follows, can't say who it follows, that's a spoiler, but it is a continuation from The Shining. If you just finished The Shining, maybe not jump into this right away because it is very different from The Shining. Very different, very different. I enjoyed it. I had my problems. Very slow, very, very slow. The first half kind of was really flat for me. The second half picked up, and I really enjoyed that. I enjoyed Abra and seeing some of our old characters again, and I enjoyed some new characters and the True Knot and everything. So interesting. I have a review. Click this book if you want to go to that, or click the thumbnail if you want. It doesn't matter to me. Whatever you want. Yeah, it was okay. I gave it about a 3.75 to a 4. Thinking about it now, I might boost that down a bit. This did put me in a reading slump, and the next book I read after this took me a week to read just because of how bummed I was about this one. Still good. It wasn't bad. It was just really a slower book. It took me a really long time to read. I'm out of breath because I talk really fast. But yeah, I gave this around 3.75 to 4. It's probably more of a 3.5, 3.75 for me. But yeah. And the last book I read was I'll Give You the Sun by Jandy Nelson. I wanted to pick this up because it is definitely a popular book. It is a favorite for a lot of people. I really want to read it. I've owned it for a little bit, so I chose to pick it up. This is a contemporary YA book, and it involves around twins during different time periods of their lives. And it follows how once they were close and then over time they kind of separate, and it involves family and relationships. It is so good. It took me a week to read this, but I was enjoying my time reading it. And it actually took me 5 days because those other 2 days I didn't read, but I was slowly making my way through it and I really enjoyed it. It has this huge aspect of art and relationships, some things I didn't absolutely love, but I still enjoyed it. And I thought the story was really nice. The characters I enjoyed so much. Noah is the cutest guy ever, and his relationship was so adorable, and the quotes were amazing. I really recommend this if you enjoy contemporary. I would pick it up. But yeah. I give this a 4.25 out of 5. My November wrap up. Thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, give it a thumbs up if you want. But thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you being here. So yeah, I'll see you guys very soon. Tell me if you guys read any of these or would like to read any of these. I'd love to know your thoughts. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.